Gerry, I'd just like to ask you the same question. Why weren't you willing to discuss that motion that the whips and Michael Kilcoyne brought forward?
Well, precisely because it was really, with all respect, it was fool's errand, because you were requesting the chief executive of the local authority not to comply with government policy and with government circulars and government directives. The chief executive of the local authority is a servant of the government. Basically, if he doesn't comply with directives or policies, it's a sackable offence. So on that basis, I personally saw no point in going to a meeting that couldn't deliver anything or achieve anything, because you were asking the chief executive to do something that he couldn't legally do. And on that basis, it was a fool's errand. The local authority is not a law unto ourselves. The chief executive is not a law unto himself. He must comply with whatever directive, policy, or diktat comes down from government. That's his role. If he doesn't, it's a sackable offence. So for that basic reason, I didn't see any point whatsoever.
So you didn't see that going anywhere? Yeah.
It was absolutely going nowhere.
I hear what you're saying.
And like over the years, every day, every year, every month, we have amendments that are rejected on the basis that they don't comply with government policy. And government policy is articulated by the people that get a mandate at the ballot box. So over the years, in terms of county development plans, I put down amendments. The amendment has been rejected on the basis that it contravenes government policy, government legislation, or EU law. That's how the system works. So I wasn't going to come to a meeting where the item on the agenda was utterly, totally, and completely pointless.
So with that in mind, we have three seasoned councillors there who proposed that. And obviously didn't take the time to go and discuss it with their party members.
Well, you see, exactly.
So what is the problem there now? Because
the problem is, Stephen, that...
How did this come about? Like, it sounds unusual that would happen.
But hang on, it was unusual, because usually when there's a special meeting called, all of the councillors are consulted. And for example, what would happen, if they lift the phone to me, I'd say, look at lads, this is going nowhere. Why would you convene a special meeting and dispatch the councillors on what was essentially a fool's errand? That's how it works.
So do you think now, could that have been phrased differently to, basically, I don't know if you saw, we sent you an email, we didn't get a reply about an assembly that took place down in Market Square a couple of weeks ago, where you had the guts of 200 people there.
Precisely, but the People's Assembly is in there. People who are in there have a mandate. And like, with respect, Stephen, you're very passionate and committed to what you're doing. But what you need to do, basically, is really go up for election and put these views into the public domain and let the people adjudicate on it. I couldn't go to a meeting.
Why is there nobody in the council putting forward the sort of points I'm putting forward and the sort of arguments that are agreed? Why is there no representation coming from the councillors?
Well, basically, you see, the issue is that you hit a cul-de-sac in there, because it's not within our remit. The chief executive cannot contravene government policy. And a lot of the questions and the issues, and you have some legitimate questions. The best way to get an answer to those questions is contact your local TDs and ask them to put down a private member's question for the ministers involved, and that's how you make progress.
Is this issue going to be discussed here? And basically, what we're saying is that we cannot take in any more people into the country, whether it's refugees or asylum seekers, until there's adequate level of care for those already who've lived here their whole life. I'm talking about housing, I'm talking about all the various services that are required.
You see, basically, just again,
why can't that be discussed at least?
No,
but discussed in there,
you know. You can discuss it in there, but that forum has no power to resolve the issue. In terms of national government, it's an EU directive. If you go in and Google the rule of law means that all nation states in Europe have to comply with the rule of law as it comes from Brussels. That's the reality. And you see, over the years, we've signed up to a whole litany of treaties. We have legal.
We're one of three countries in the EU.
I'm talking to Stephen.
No, but she's actually correct in that. If you're going to mention that point, like we didn't need to. We can opt out of that. That's I believe that's the Amsterdam. The Amsterdam Treaty.
But then again, that's a matter for the executive of the government, not for the executive of your country.
Surely you guys should be talking about this.
Pardon?
Surely you should be highlighting this, talking to the press.
But
I haven't heard anything from you guys.
But I'm explaining to you now that what you put down at that meeting was basically null and void. And the party whips that you approached should have had the decency to say to you, well, hang on.
I didn't approach them, by the way.
Obviously, somebody approached them.
Yeah,
but,
we sent an email to all of you guys, and 3 bothered to reply.
All of the party whips are long enough in the tooth to know that this local authority, like every other local authority in the country, has to comply with the statutory obligations to government policy. And government policy is formulated by the people who get the mandate at the ballot.
You can lobby the government though yourself.
In terms of what?
In terms of the views of the people in
But-
the town.
But
you
it's
can
a
lobby
matter.
on behalf of the people, but you won't even listen to the people.
Well, I'm getting no representation in relation to it.
Do you agree that we cannot take in any more people into this country until we've dealt with some of the problems that
I
exist
think
already?
we have sufficient capacity to. This is basically.
Why haven't we
Hold on,
looked
hold
at
on.
Second, now this is number one. We're dealing with an emergency. Number two, we're statutorily obliged under EU law to do so. And number three,
That's not true. That is not true, Gerry. So,
And number three,
Why don't you
also
run for election?
sorry, I'm not talking to you.
Number three, what we have done. Number three, what we have done. We've taken in people. Some people are in this county are pro-NATO, others are pro-Putin. We haven't made any distinction. It's a humanitarian exercise, and that's what we've done. Some of the people here would be pro-Russian.
Gerry, do you have any regard for the people of Mayo? Yeah, do you have any? Do you aspire to represent the people of Mayo at all, or do you only want to represent foreign people who've been brought in the last year? Is that your objective? Is it?
But I will represent the people
what
that
are they
gave me a
doing to you?
mandate. Yeah.
Sure.
These Ukrainians,
I'm going to move on.